Shakbar. Today, I'm going to explain about reading skills, focusing on skill 5 and 6. So, let's begin with skill 5. Skill 5, finding pronoun reference. In the top reading sections, you'll often be asked to determine what a pronoun refers to, like he, she, it, they, or their usually refers back to a noun that comes before it. So, the main strategy is simple. Look before the pronouns to find its noun or reference. A reference is simply the word that a pronoun replaces. Let's look at the example. The question is, finding pronouns they in line 5 refers to A. Humid areas, B. These plants, C. Insects, D. Digestive fluids. Let's see the text. These plants have developed mechanisms to trap insects within their foliage. They have digestive fluids to obtain the necessary nitrogen is the line 5. So the answer is B, these plants, because they logically refers to the plants that have digestive fluids. Alright, let's do some exercises. Text 1, the question is, the pronoun it in line 2 refers to A, the equinox, B, the sun, C, the harvest moon, D, the night. The answer is C, the harvest moon, because it is a bright moon, describes the harvest moon in the previous sentence. Number 2, the word they refers to, the answer is farmers, because they are the ones who can work late at night. We continue to the second text. The question is, the pronoun it in line 2 refers to A, Mardi Gras, B, France, C, that time, D, New Orleans. The answer is A, Mardi Gras. And second question is, the word they refers to, the answer is tourists, because they are the ones joining the activities. Quick tips for pronouns questions. First, look at the pronouns in the passage. Second, look before it possible nouns. Third, try replacing the pronoun with each noun. Fourth, choose the most logical one. Remember, on the paper-based TOEFL, choose the correct options. On the computer-based TOEFL, click on the word the pronoun refers to. Alright, let's move on to skill 6, implied detail questions. This question tests your ability to read between the lines. This type of questions doesn't ask for information that's directly stated. Instead, it asks what is implied, inferred, likely, or probably true based on the text. So you need to find clues and draw logical conclusions. Let's look at the example. The question is, which of the following is probably not a Hawaiian word? A. Mahalo, B. Mahi-mahi, C. Miklea, D. Moana. From the text, we can know if two consonants never appear together in Hawaiian words. So, the answer is C. Miklea, because Ki and L appear together, which the rule says never happens. Alright, let's do some exercises. Text 1, the question is, it is implied in the passage that if a kayak has two hulls, the choice is A. It accommodates two riders, B. It is less stable, C. It is as large as an umiya, D. It cannot be used on the ocean. The answer is A. It accommodates two riders. Second question, it can be inferred that an example of the animals mentioned might be A. A kangaroo, B. A snake, C. A whale, D. A salmon. Answer is C, whale, a large animal suitable for the umiya. We continue to the next passage. The question is, it is implied in the passage that A. Only redwoods turn brown in autumn, B. Only sequoias turn brown in winter, C. Both turn brown in winter, D. Neither turns brown in winter. The answer is D. Neither turns brown. Evergreen means they stay green. Second question, it can be inferred that the Sierra Nevadas are A. A type of giant redwood, B. A coastal community, C. A group of lakes, D. A mountain range. The answer is D. A mountain range. The trees grow along the slopes. Quick tips for implied details questions. First, focus on keywords in the questions. Second, scan for those words or ideas in the passage. Third, read carefully and connect the clues. Fourth, choose what is probably true or not directly stated. Remember, you don't need to guess, the clues are always in the passage. Alright, let's wrap up what we have learned today. In skill 5, we learn how to identify what a pronoun refers to by looking before it for the matching noun. This helps us understand how ideas are connected in a passage. In skill 6, we practice finding implied details, ideas that are suggested but not directly stated. This helps us read more deeply and understand the author's meanings. So, to summarize, skill 5, look for who or what the pronoun refers to. Skill 6, think about what the passage suggests, not just what it says.
Hello everyone, I'm Diana. In this video, I will continue to explain the skills in reading section. I will explain about two skills of reading skill, which is skill 7 is about answer the transition question correctly, and skill 8 is about find the definition from structural clues. First, I will explain about skill 7, answers the transition question correctly. Sometimes in the TOEFL test, both the paper-based and computer-based versions, you will see a question that asks you about what probably came before or what probably comes after the given reading passage. These are called transition questions. They test your ability to understand how ideas connect between paragraphs. For example, the question might say, "What was probably discussed in the preceding paragraph?" or "What will probably be discussed in the following paragraph?" Alright, now let's look at an example of the transition question from the paper-based TOEFL test. So here is the passage. Then the question says, "The paragraph preceding this passage most probably discuss." Now look at the first line of the passage. It starts with "another myth of the oceans." The word "another" gives us an important clue. It means this is the second myth being talked about. So the correct answer is C, a different traditional story from the sea. Now let's look at another example, this time from the computer-based TOEFL test. The passage here is the same like before, but this question asks, the topic of the paragraph following the passage most likely is. That means we need to guess what comes next, what the next paragraph will probably talk about. To find the answers, we should look at the end of the passage. At the end it says, "It might be a rather interesting trip considering all the treasures located there." The passage ends by talking about the treasures in Davy Jones' locker, which is said to be at the bottom of the ocean. So the next paragraph will probably explain what those treasures are. So the answer is valuable items located at the bottom of the ocean. Alright, now it's time for some practice. I give you time to answer questions below. Alright, let's check and discuss the answers together. The answer for question number 1 is A, a different scientific television series. Why the answer is that? Because the passage begins with another program, so the previous paragraph probably talked about a different program. The answer for question number 2 is C, the astronomer Carl Sagan. Since this passage introduced Carl Sagan as the writer and narrator, the next paragraph will likely give more details about him. Alright, now we move on to skill 8. Find the definition from structural clues. Sometimes you will see multiple choice questions. You might even be asked to click on a word with a similar or opposite meaning. And it helps you a lot if you already know the word's meaning. But the good news is, even if you don't know the word, you can still find the right answer by using clues in the sentence or the passage. There are 3 main ways to do. First, finding definitions from structural clues. Second, finding meanings from word parts. Third, using context clues to guess the meaning. Now let's see an example from the paper TOEFL test. Here is the passage. Then the question asks, in behaviorism, a psychologist is concerned with. Now look closely at the passage. After the word behaviorism, there's a dash. That dash tells us the definition or explanation is coming next. The passage says behavior, which is observable. So, the meaning of behaviorism is related to observable behavior, not hidden thoughts. That's why the correct answer is C, observable actions. Now let's look at another example from the computer TOEFL test. It's the same passage and they mentions positive reinforcement in the question. And the question says, look at the expression positive reinforcement in the passage. What does it mean? So, if praise, food, or money are given for doing something good, that's a kind of reward. So, the best answer is a reward. Also, there's another example that use the phrase negative reinforcement in the question. In the same passage, you will find the word punishment. That's your clue, because negative reinforcement and punishment are related ideas. So, the correct answer is the one that matches punishment. Now, it's time to practice. Read and answer the question below, and I give you a time to answer. Alright, let's discuss the answer. For number 1, the answer is D, plaything. Why the answer is D? Because as you can see in line 1, teddy bear is a child's toy, so the best answer is A. For number 2, the answer is D, leisure activities. Why the answer is D? Look at the second paragraph with underlined word pastime. It means having a free time, so the closest meaning to that word is leisure activities. For number 3, the answer is set free. Why? At the end of the second paragraph, they explain the meaning of the sentence including the extricated, so the answer is set free. And for number 4, the answer is C. Why? As you know, cartoon is a form of media designed to convey a message, whether to entertain, inform, educate, or critique. So the best answer is C. And now I would like to give you a conclusion. In conclusion, there are 2 important skills we have learned. The first skill is transition questions, which test how ideas connect between paragraphs. And to answer them, read the first line for a preceding question and read the last line for a following question. And the second skill is finding definitions from structural clues, which helps you guess a word's meaning using hints like punctuation, examples, or signal words such as that is or which means. That's all from me. Thank you and see you.